Sir, you are audible.
Okay, wonderful. Mr. Manish Bhatia from NCCT, other distinguished guests, and I do hope that the registrars of cooperative societies are also listening in and they have not gone away after session one. If they are here, I would request them to stay on because it's indeed a great opportunity to talk to so many registrars of cooperative societies. And today, look, I have to talk on tapping opportunities for training institutions in skill and entrepreneurship development. I'm grateful to have been called for this by NCCT, which, as Mr. Bhatia has mentioned, is an important training partner of the Warehousing Development and Regulatory Authority. We have done several training programs along with NCCT. These include warehouseman training programs, these include farmers awareness programs, and so on. So I just want to make a few brief points about training in the warehousing sector. I shall stick to this narrow scope because that is what my interest lies in at the moment, and I have certain things to share with the various distinguished persons who are here today. And I also use this opportunity to convey my heartfelt greetings on the occasion of the International Cooperation Day. And I'm indeed happy that so much activity is going on and NCCT is taking a lead in this. Our association with NCCT has been a very, very happy experience. We are very happy with the training they have been giving us. And we hope that uh, we will continue to do that and improve the standards of training. Now, let me first talk to you briefly on what my organization, that is the Warehousing Development Regulatory Authority, does, because I'm aware that since this is a fairly young regulator, it was started only in 2010. Not too many people are aware of the activities of WDRA, particularly in the cooperative sector. Now, to put it in a nutshell, WDRA registers warehouses in the agri commodity space. It is only recently that government has given us permission to register warehouses in the non-agri space also, which we are about to start shortly. But mostly our activities now are mostly, I mean, completely actually, are in the agri space. We have registered 153 commodities which can be regulated by us, whose storage can be regulated by us. Now, what do? We prescribe minimum standards for construction of warehouses as per BIS or FCI norms. We do not register a warehouse which does not adhere to these norms. The norms have to be observed with regard to the construction, the plinth area, the various other infrastructural details. And what is more, we also prescribe an SOP, standard operating procedure, for maintaining the stock, which all of you are very well aware. It includes things like stacking and how to keep the goods inside the warehouse, rodent and pest control, fumigation, and things like that. We have got very clear SOPs. And in short, our regulation helps in scientific storage of goods. At the moment, registration with WDRA is not mandatory, but all warehouses which intend to issue negotiable warehouse receipts have to register with us, or which are issuing negotiable warehouse receipts have to register with us. I will not go into the differences of what is the details of what are the differences between an ordinary warehouse receipt and a negotiable warehouse receipt, except to summarize it in one sentence. A negotiable warehouse receipt is a clear document of title. It shows the quantity as well as the quality of the goods. And if there is a court case, the holder of the negotiable warehouse receipt can claim it as a title. And therefore, it is much easier to transact business using a negotiable warehouse receipt than an ordinary warehouse receipt. There are several court judgments on this score, but this is the essential difference. So, in other words, WDRA registers these warehouses, ensures that they have the right infrastructure, they follow the right standard operating procedure for maintaining the goods, and we allow them to issue negotiable warehouse receipts, which contains details of the quality, quantity, shelf life, and so many other things. We have a team of inspectors and inspecting agencies. We keep on inspecting these warehouses so that the sanctity of the warehouse receipt is maintained. In our 10 years of existence, we have never had one case where it was said that goods had been put in a warehouse and a negotiable warehouse receipt issued, and the goods were either deficient in quantity or in quality. So that shows the strength of a receipt, and that shows the trust the receipt has built up over the years. In fact, in the year 2016-17, SEBI issued orders that all settlements in the commodity exchanges should be done only using WDRA's ENWRs. This was to prevent any kind of scam in the commodities trading which had occurred earlier. Again, details I'll not go into, but this is a highly trustworthy receipt. Now, there is a proposal under consideration in government for amendment of the WDRA Act, which will make registration of all warehouses in the country compulsory with WDRA. Now, we only hope that this proposal would be considered soon and it will become a reality. Now, after having given this brief introduction of WDRA, let me just look at it in a slightly more critical manner. Now, how many warehouses have we registered? At the moment, we have registered about 2,800 warehouses. This is not a large number, but this is much larger than what it was maybe a couple of years ago when it was just in the low thousands. And now the pace of our warehousing is registration is increasing rapidly. In fact, the last month before that, I registered about 163 warehouses, which was an all-time record since the inception of WDRA. And now more warehouses are coming to us, partly because of our efforts and mainly because of the support given by government. Now, if you look at the number of warehouses in the country, the best indicator for this is the last NABARD survey. The NABARD survey said there are about 107,000 warehouses in the country, agri warehouses, out of which roughly 9,000 warehouses are defunct. So let us say there are about 1 lakh of warehouses in the country. But WDRA does not register captive warehouses. Like for example, FCI has got its own warehouses and they keep their own stock. We do not register that. We are mainly bothered about the depositors from the public. So we register those warehouses where third parties can come and put in their goods and take a warehouse receipt and later bail out the goods by redeeming the receipt. So we register what are called public warehouses or third party warehouses. Now of this 1 lakh warehouses, it is roughly assumed that about 40,000 warehouses are public warehouses. So roughly we have registered about 7 or 6% of the market, but this number is going up. I must also mention one more point, that this electronic negotiable warehouse receipt, which is being issued by our warehouses, is also on the increase, and the pledging of receipts to public sector and private sector banks has also gone up manifold. In fact, it was around say 1,000 crores odd the year before last. It went up to 1,500 crores now, and this year itself we have had pledge finance of around 600 crores of rupees given by various public sector banks. So this is the broad background. Now the next point I'd like to say is that obviously this kind of warehousing has a cost. If people have to build standard warehouses with standard infrastructure, follow the procedure, then the cost of warehousing would definitely go up. But then the question I'd like to ask is, if there is a cost, is there a benefit? I must submit that there is a tremendous benefit. The amount of agricultural losses in this country, post-harvest losses in this country, is too well known to repeat. It is very high, and efforts are being made to reduce post-harvest losses. Now, why do post-harvest losses occur? To my mind, it is because of two things. One is because our warehouses are not there at the farm gate level. That is one. The second point is that the quality of the warehousing is poor. And more important, the people who man these warehouses, the warehousemen and the personnel manning the warehouses, they are not trained, they lack the skills, they don't know how to maintain it. Now, we have been tolerating this situation for a very, very long time. And let me assure you, if a warehouse is registered with WDRA and along with the scientific methods of storage we have prescribed and the standard operating procedures and this regime of inspection, the losses will come down drastically. the losses are quite low in the warehouses registered by us. Now, if more warehouses have to be registered with WDRA, are registered with WDRA, the country stands to gain a lot by reduction of losses. Now, this is one major benefit that would come by registration with WDRA. Apart from another benefit that the farmer who is putting his goods in the warehouse after harvest can get a loan on the receipt very quickly because it's a digital receipt. The receipt has been entirely digitized. Since the receipt is being monitored by WDRA, public sector banks need not have any fears of giving the loan. In fact, we have provisions in our repositories which we have engaged that if the goods have to be sold because there is a default of the loan, it can be done by the by the by the repositories very quickly. So these facilities are available. So a regime where a farmer can get a loan very quickly through a digital receipt on the click of a button is something that we are aiming for. And if you are able to put it in place in a large scale way across the country, you can imagine the kind of changes that will happen. Now let me come to this topic at hand today, that is training. Now, bringing in proper warehouses with scientific storage and proper trained personnel, I think represents an immense training opportunity. Now, as I said before, warehouses are not in good shape except in, say, central warehousing corporations, state warehousing corporations, and some of the organized warehousing companies in the country. But the small warehouses are fragmented, they are disorganized. There is definitely a case for improving them. Now, if these warehouses are improved and proper personnel are appointed there and these personnel are trained, you can imagine the amount of employment it will create. If there is a regulation which says that, look, you cannot just keep goods just like that and allow it to get spoiled. The goods have to follow a proper SOP. Assaying has to be done properly. Then many more people would get trained in this particular field. There will definitely be a cost for the warehouseman, there will be a cost for the depositor, but overall there will be a gain for the country because of the reduction in storage losses and also in the employment created. Now, what are the areas in which we are giving training? Now, so far as NCCT is concerned, we have been giving training to warehouse training managers. We organize 5-day training programs for warehouse managers, where they are given the entire gamut of the operations to be done in a warehouse, the kind of care they have to take, etc., etc. I know that this could be bigger, but we wanted to have a greater throughput. So we have decided on a 5-day training program which has been going on. We also do a 1-day training program for farmers called the Farmer Awareness Programs, where we tell them the benefits of storing goods in WDRA registered warehouses. One very exciting area which is opening up, which we have initiated now, is called the assayer training programs. Now, assaying is a very important part of warehousing. Now, this is one statement I keep on repeating whenever I make a speech, that is, warehousing is not just about storage. Storage is just one part of warehousing. Warehousing includes many subsidiary activities. Warehousing includes grading, assaying, packaging, logistics. All these things add value to the agricultural product, and it means wealth to the farmer and all the people included in the supply chain. Now, let us have a look at assaying. How many of us are really aware of the number of assayers, qualified assayers available in the country? Is it a very respected profession to be an assayer? Is it a lucrative profession? I don't know. But I can tell you one thing, that assaying is very important as far as agri warehousing is concerned. And in all the warehouses in the cooperative sector should have trained assayers. I'm sure the organized sector in warehousing in the country have their trained assayers, but this should percolate down to private warehouses and warehouses in the cooperative sector. We have initiated a program. Now we are tied up with ICM Madurai for doing an assaying training program in Tamil Nadu. I'm tying up with NIPHM Hyderabad to do a series of assaying programs in South India. We are looking for more training partners, and I hope that NCCT would also take up this opportunity, and we can create a cadre of assayers in this country. people with skills in assaying of agricultural goods. It is not a very difficult thing, but it is a skill nevertheless. It is not something that an untrained person should do. This will create large-scale employment across the country. Maybe not very high-end jobs, but jobs nevertheless. So I may submit that proper regulation of warehouses by as we are doing would open up huge training opportunities. It would also lead to great benefits in terms of reduction of storage losses. And this is an opportunity that NCCT and all the cooperative sector organizations across the country can seize. I was just listening with great interest to the registrars of cooperative cooperatives across the states. One point that kept on coming was that look, we don't have funds for doing all these trainings. Central government should give us funds. I am happy to tell you that whenever WDRA does training, we do it out of a central government grant. We don't charge the ICM. In fact, we pay the ICMs for doing the training. We pay the cooperatives, we pay the other institutions for doing this training. So funds are not a problem if you want to do these trainings. But then what is required is that more warehouses would have to be registered with WDRA so that we have these personnel who can be trained in this, personnel including warehousemen and SAS. My appeal to the registrars of cooperative societies is that if they can get more cooperatives registered with WDRA, we can fix this training program and skilling up of this personnel by doing the training through organizations like NCCT and ICMs. And this would be a great step forward in development of this sector. Now, with regard to corporate, I'll just close by one last point. Now, with regard to cooperative sector, we have been focusing on certain states, and in some states we have got some success. In the state of Tamil Nadu, for example, we have registered 1,000 cooperative societies with warehouses with WDRA, and this experience has been good. We are trying to improve it. We are trying to get more money to be pumped into the rural areas through the NWR and through the cooperative department, through the various packs which have been registered with us. And this is something which we would like to do with any state that wants to take the initiative. We are already in talks with the Orissa State Warehousing Corporation and the Orissa Corporation and Agricultural Secretary for doing this. But I would like to focus on other states, particularly onto the Northeast, where our presence is rather thin and which is a priority area for government, as somebody had mentioned, where we should have greater infusion of funds and greater developmental activities. For that, we are more than ready. So these are the thoughts that I wanted to share with you today afternoon. I really look forward to greater cooperation with not only with NCCT, but with the registrars of cooperative societies and the cooperative institutions across the country. I will be getting in touch with each of you personally so that we can take this registration of WDRA warehouse or the WDRA registration of warehouses and attendant benefits to a higher level. I would like to thank NCCT for giving me this opportunity and all of you for having given me this very, very patient hearing today. And I'm sure that we can do great things together. Thank you once more.